That's a book of invitations. It's an invitation in itself, and that's what I want to speak about today. It's invitation. I thought about a neat title like The Power of Invitation or Invitations or whatever. But anyway, it's just about invitation and some of the things that God says about that and some of the things that we maybe need to be reminded of, and we can be aware of them when we're going through our lives. And the first part I want to say is just about children. Matthew 18, verse 3 to 5. You won't get any up on screen today. It's old school, so you're going to have to listen to me, I'm afraid. Matthew 18, verse 3 to 5 says this: unless you turn and become like children, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. And I kind of don't know how you've always there it is. How you've always interpreted this, but I've kind of always focused on the innocence of children. You've just got to be innocent. You've got to be open. All those things are right, but children can teach us an awful lot. And watching these little ones in church, watching. If you don't know, I have a grandchild, or two grandchildren. I have one called Annie and one called Hallie. Annie was the one that was making a low noise running around in a yellow dress today. And just watching her last week started the spark of this message in me. And we have our youngest son, John, is in Australia. He's lived there for 7 years now. He's a naturalised Aussie and has 2 passports. He came back last week to just see us. We'd seen him 6 months before because we'd been there, but we hadn't seen him for 18 months. And he wanted to come over and re-engage with Annie, re-engage with Hallie, re-engage with his brother and his 2 sisters. And he's done that. But the first day he met Annie, she hadn't got a clue who he was. She'd been watching him on videos and all that kind of stuff. But she didn't know who he was. It's 18 months since she's seen him, 3/4 of life. So he sat there, she sat there, and she's just kind of looking at him like this, and she wouldn't hold his hand or anything like that. Stranger danger and all that kind of stuff. And, she was there. She obviously knew something was, he was a member of the family because everybody else was talking to him. So what did she do? She made an invitation. And what she did, she got a ball, not much bigger than that, and she just went like that to him. And he picked it up. And he threw it back. That was it. That's all that happened. Didn't do anything else. Wasn't some kind of amazing, spectacular thing, simple as it can be, but she could do that, and she did it. And 2 weeks later, when he was going back, we've got a video of him dancing with her around the garden to let it go. The point is that she made the invitation and he responded. And that's where it started. And she's 2. Anybody who's a parent here is besieged with invitations all day long. You can laugh, Matt. What I mean is they might not sound like invitations, but they are. And this is something I think we all need to remember. Look for the invitation. Look to your response to it. Come and play with me is a big one. Anybody who's got a child who can talk knows that. And how many times do you say, really? Can't you just play by yourself? Go and ask your dad to do it. I'm not looking at you, Anchor, for any particular reason, but do you know what I mean? But do you know what that actually means? It actually means, come and get involved in my life. This is where I am, and I want you to be there as well. And it's a privilege. Hallie, my older granddaughter, besieges me every time I see her with, come and play Barbie with me. Well, I'm not a Barbie fan. But she always asks. Yeah, she always asks. So, what do I know about Barbie? God, 67. Never had a Barbie in my life. I remember having Action Men, but that's a different story altogether. But anyway, it's an invitation. Not a pain, not an obligation. It's an invitation. Come and play with me. Or what about this one? It's a physical action. How about that? What does that mean? Pick me up. How many times do we get that? Yeah. Right, Matt, innit? And as they grow up, it gets a bit harder, doesn't it? Yeah. But I trust you. That's what that means. Pick me up. Leanne was, she probably didn't remember this, but I think it was 2 weeks ago. You were sat there, weren't you? Was it a sticker book or something? I can't remember what it was. Yeah, it was a sticker book. Was it Chase and Annie? Both stood there with you, just getting stuff done. I don't know, how did that happen? Was it you who asked them or them who asked you? They came over, yeah, and said, can we play with you? Yeah. And you said, yeah. And there you go. Connection. Your life and their life together. It's beautiful. Come into my world. How many times do we hear that? How many times do we just ignore it? And we'll get to excuses later on. So an invitation, definition of invitation, various ones, this seems to be the most common. The action of inviting someone to go somewhere or do something. It's interesting in the Oxford English Dictionary, it says something like, always does this, it says, we were invited to, as an example, we were invited to a dinner at the embassy. You think, what? How real is that? If it said, we're invited, we were invited to go for a coffee at Costa, that'd probably been a bit more like it, wouldn't it? Or go to McDonald's or whatever. But a dinner at the embassy, no. And that's another important thing. It's not grandiose, is this? It's not complicated. It's not spectacular. It's simple. You're invited to do something or go somewhere. And that's one of we talked a long time ago now, and I think it's something we all know, that people are, or if we don't, then maybe we should, but people are the building blocks of any church. It's not all this, it's this. With the living blocks, the living building. And how we put that together is one thing, the foundations created by Jesus and God, of course, and we build on that. But how do we keep all those blocks, excuse me, hay fever, how do we keep all those blocks together? Well, we've got used to watching building programs lately, haven't we? There's some amazing, I don't know if you've ever watched New Build in the Country or whatever it is, but New Life in the, what a nightmare. Anyway, people who build £600,000 houses with a hammer and a chisel and about 20 pence in 3 weeks, and that's over budget, and it's also too long. How they do it, I have no idea. But anyway, getting back to things. What's the mortar? What's the cement that holds the blocks together? Well, thinking it's probably love, it's probably grace, it's probably all those things that we talk about that God gives us. But invitation is a tool. It's a tool to apply that mortar and apply that cement between the bricks, the blocks, the people. And Ephesians says, doesn't it, in 2, it says, in him you also are being built together into a dwelling house for God by the Spirit. We're building blocks. And invitation is a powerful tool. It's a bit like a trowel. You can slap it on, slap it in all those places and join people together in a way that nothing else can. Why is it so effective? Well, if you make an invitation to somebody, it probably makes them feel special. It certainly makes them feel valued. They matter to you. You show them that you care about them And again, going back to what the kids do, you're showing them that you want to be part of their life, and you want them to be part of yours. It's you ask somebody to go for a coffee, it's because you want to, really. And the stuff that comes from that is extraordinary. Again, we'll talk about that in a minute. So I can see somebody, and you matter to me, Tom, not just because you're a Leeds fan, but we're suffering together in that one, aren't we, at the moment? Tom's going to disappear at 11:30 because, not because hopefully he can't stand what I'm saying, but because he wants to watch Leeds lose to Norwich. But if I invite you out, you matter to me. I want to be with you. And there's a connection. And it's a connection upon which you can build on. I wonder how many times we actually think about that when these things happen, or we just do it because it's part of life. It's important that we know what it is that we're actually doing. It's an invitation. It's asking you to participate in what I often talk about, a shared common experience. I was there when Adam rolled a Malteser down a tape measure into somebody's mouth. I know anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, that seems really weird, doesn't it? But actually, it was a game that we played at a Christmas party, and I was there. I saw it. I was part of that. I participated. Debbie was there as well. We participate in these things together. We remember them. And shared common experience is a massive, massive factor when you come to being in a community and when you come to talking about being together and experiencing things together. We've experienced all sorts of things. I was there when Si and Jackie got married. He was reminding me 20 years ago. Was it nearly, isn't it? Yeah, 20 years ago. I mean, we have something in common. It joins us. We're not just separate people. But we've done that because you invited us, presumably invited us. I can't remember now. Maybe a gate crashed, I don't know. Yeah, but we were there, and we responded to the invite, and there you go. We know about that. And we've also been there when we've had to share loss of loved ones, and all that entails. Building us together in blocks with the cement of love and grace applied by invitation. It's a key, I think, invitation to unlocking and leading to relationship. I say again, the simplest of invitations can lead to huge, hugely positive changes in your life. God and Jesus knew all about this. I think it must be their idea, perhaps. I don't know. Do you think? I wonder where the kids get it from, because they're not taught it. Not at that age, not at 2. So, yeah, it must be a God idea. Let anyone who is thirsty come to me for a drink. John 7. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden. Matthew 11. Come and have breakfast. That's a bit more sort of in keeping with our lives, isn't it? John 21. Come and you will see. Jesus said in John 1. Go with me, come with me to a quiet place and get some rest. That's Jesus as well, Mark 6. All invitations. Doesn't say you must do this, Simon, does he? He says, come. Do you want to? I'm inviting you. I want you to be part of this life. I want to share what I have. We talk now about sharing life, but that's experiencing it together. I can share my life with you as much as I like. I can tell you what's happened. I can tell you what I think and all the rest of it. But that's a one-sided affair, really. An invitation needs a response. you make an invitation. It's inviting people to connect by sharing themselves both ways. Oh, come all ye faithful. There's another one. We all sing that, but I don't know if we realise that nearly every single line of that is an invitation. Every single line. Take this and eat. Follow me, and I shall make you fishers of men. They're all invitations. And Jesus had an effect on people, funnily enough. I think we all know that. This is just one of them. The Samaritan woman, who we've talked about quite a lot recently, John 4. Come and see a man who told me everything I ever did. Could this be the Messiah? They came out of the town and made their way toward him. That was because she had invited them to go and see Jesus. We've all got, if we all reflect, we've all got personal experience. I'm just going to share 4 things that I thought of when I was saying this. One's kind of wrapped up. I got married in 1981, and Tina's still putting up with me to this day. But, you know, I think it started with, can I take you out, or words to that effect. I don't know. And then we progressed to, would you like to go to, I think it was an Elvis Costello concert, if I remember. And then it progressed to, will you marry me? Well, there's as big an invitation as there ever was. And she said yes. And here we are, still married, 4 kids, 2 grandkids, part of this family. Amazing. All, I think, as a result of the fact that I asked her. She could have easily said, nah, I don't think so. But she didn't. And, you know, that's one. Can you think of anything? And we've all got, you know, all those who are married, I know, and have been in relationships for a while, can say the same thing. Doesn't always work out, but invitations don't always work out, as we shall find. But what I'm saying is, the potential is there. Will you come to church? This was an invitation that Tina kept making to me for quite a while, actually. I much prefer to stay at home watching football or whatever, and looking after the kids. That was my excuse. But Tina, bless her, persisted. And eventually the invitations kind of sunk home. I came. And, came to know the Lord as a direct result of that. And here we are. Will you come to church? It's not hard, is it, really? It's not spectacular. It's just a question. It's an invitation. Paul asked me when I first joined church, I've been coming about a year, and I've been sat at the back listening to worship music and thinking there was something missing. Not for a second did I think it was me. But he didn't have a bass guitar, and as we all know, nothing without a bass guitar, apart from today, which was amazing. It was. Honestly, it was. Bass guitar a little bit. And I used to sit there thinking all this. And Paul just said, this is back in 1995 or something like that, we play bass guitar at a conference. I said, why? What? He says, yeah, I think you should. I think you should play it. And so I went away, easily said no. Not really played in a band up till then or anything. And I thought about it, and prayed about it, and I thought, all right, I'll do it. Right, that's good, because you've got to learn 35 songs in a week. That's what he said. He gave me them. It was like that. It was a book it was that a big lever arch file full of blooming songs. And I thought I was going to be playing in a couple of songs, and there I am up on blooming stage. All worked perfectly well, no problem. And I've actually I feel a bit sometimes like the band on the Titanic. I think I've been the only one who's been in the worship band since then, more or less continuously. Some might say, right, enough's enough. But he asked me that question, and I could have easily said no. other things on, don't fancy it, etc., etc. But I didn't. I said yes, and great things came of it. Another question I had, will you come to Nepal with me? I'd always said, I've learnt the lesson since. I always used to say, well, I'm never doing that. I'm not going to Nepal, or I'm not going to have a trailer tent, or we're never going to have this, or whatever. God's got a sense of humour, knows exactly when you say that. It's probably what's going to happen. So anyway, we'll forget the trailer tent. That was another thing. We didn't have it for long. But Phil Moon, asked, he had to go, and he asked me if I'd go with him. And this was in, about 2009, 2008, something like that. And I said yes. And he's my best friend now. I've known him for, 20 years, nearly 20 years. And we've spent a lot of time together. We do a lot of things. Amazing. Going to concerts and doing all sorts of stuff. But again, I could have said, nah, don't fancy that. Nepal, it's not for me. But I didn't. I actually responded positively to the invitation. Someone asks and someone answers. And more often than not, certainly, if God's in it every time, then the answer is yes. Now, I know there are some invitations that probably aren't good, but you don't get many of them. People don't ask you things unless they really want to be with you. So when you're receiving these things, then just think, this is a chance, this is a door, this is a key, this could lead to something else, could lead to amazing things. Will you forgive me? Another big one. Do you need help? Another big one. Can you help me? Turn it on its head. How do I do this? That's one I'm not very good at, actually, until I get it wrong, and then I might ask somebody who knows what they're doing. But how do I do this? Can you teach me? These are all invitations. Should be out there, realizing they are and using them, and not and responding to them, and not using excuses. Parable of the Great Banquet, Luke 14. This guy gets this amazing party together. You know the story. Spent loads of money on it, got it all set up. Looking forward to it. Sent out his servants. Asked all these people if they wanted to come. And what did they say? Let me just read this one. I'll go all organic now. Probably won't be able to find it. But they all alike began to make excuses. The first said, and they're pathetic of these excuses. I mean, they really are. I have just bought a field. Right, okay, good, yeah. And I must go and see it. Really? What? I mean, really? There is an obvious question, isn't there? Why? Presumably you saw it before you bought it. Maybe you didn't. Please excuse me. All right, let's say it's been a busy week. Have we used that one? Yeah? Anybody ever used that one? All right, come on. Another said, I have just bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I'm on my way to try them out. Please excuse me. What on earth? Hey, I mean, you can see why this guy got a bit brassed off, can't you? How about trying, I'm just tired. I just don't think I'll go. Or, listen, the last one's just a class one. Still, another said, I just got married, so I can't come. I mean, why is she not letting you out of the house? I don't know. But what kind of an excuse? I think we all thought better excuses. I just don't fancy it. All right, at least you're being honest. But, or another one, which again, we understand and it happens. I'm struggling, don't fancy coming. There is a part of me that thinks, this is the best place you could ever come if you're struggling. Really. You know, the closer we are together, the closer we know each other. This is the best place you could be. But all those excuses, God sees your heart. And even if your response is yes to an invitation and it's a disaster, you know what? God saw your heart. God knew that your heart was to connect. Your heart was to share. Your heart was to get in the place that the other person is and see what they are, see what's going on, and connect. So think about it when you receive these things and when you hear about these things. I'd encourage you, I've just written here, to look for, to invite, to engage, to be present in conversations and listen for an opportunity to invite or for an invitation that comes to you. Don't look for the spectacular. Don't look for the banquet at the embassy. Really, that might come. But look for just the simple pleasure of just spending time with somebody. And I am absolutely sure that by the end of today, you will have received an invitation of some kind. Even if it's only from your grandkids or your kids or whatever. Somebody will say something. And I don't know what's on next week, but, you know, there'll be an invitation to go to a life group. There'll be an invitation to come to a meeting of some kind. Opportunity. Look at it like that if you want. But the spectacular often comes out of the simple. That's how God does it. So, it's only a short message, but in conclusion, just, you know, throw the ball. You get a chance, throw the ball to somebody and make that connection. Lift up your hands. Ask somebody to come and play with you. I know that sounds a bit weird, but you know what I mean. In the context of a child, of course. Ask somebody to go to a concert with you or just walk. How about that? Where is he? Where's our Waterways person? There he is. He's a great walker. Go with him. Have a walk. You'll be blessed. He won't push you in. He might feel like it if you're on a bike, but he won't. Just extend that hand. That's all you can do. And of course, we can then put all that into inviting people to church. For me, it seems that evangelism is basically about invitation. That's what it's about. It doesn't have to come in any fancy way. It doesn't have to come in any prescribed way. But the effects on people's lives and on your life may well be spectacular. Okay? That's it.
Sorry.